Welcome to Surrender School.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here today. We're going to be talking about gentle nutrition, which I'm sure everyone, I know that was a top one that everybody wanted to talk about right away. So we're finally getting to it. I'm going to start off with the mission statement of Surrender School. At Surrender School, we recover. Our mission is to share 12-step and other supportive recovery solutions with those who want a healthy relationship with food. We are not an official 12-step meeting, but we do try to adhere to the spirit of the traditions. So, any and everything you want to know about what's going on in Surrender School, check out the website. We do have a new book study. Amber, who's here today, is doing Build Yourself Up Without Limits, and it's tomorrow at 9 o'clock Pacific. It's only the second week, so you haven't missed anything. So, come on and join us for that. It's a great book to look at kind of your beliefs and how the beliefs kind of shape your life. We also have coming up in November an Enneagram and Recovery podcast, and this will be with Michael Naylor and Cher. It'll be the first Friday of every month, the first one beginning on November 7th. So be sure to check the website for details on which room and all of that. But this will be a really fun way to talk about the Enneagram and recovery from some experts. We do have our own WhatsApp group, so I think most of you are in there, but if you're not, it'll get posted in the chat to join us. And then everything at Surrender School is free. But if you are able to donate and you feel like this has helped your recovery, we are a 501c3 organization, so feel free to donate, and that'll be put in the chat as well. All right, so let's take a moment to feel your breath going in and out. Feel your feet on the floor. Get connected to Saturday morning or Saturday, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. We're here to just learn and open our minds. God, help me to set aside everything I think I know to leave space for what I have yet to learn. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Principle 10, honor your health with gentle nutrition. As I mentioned, this was one that was when I asked at the very beginning, which principle did you want to learn about first or in what order? And this was definitely one of the top ones. I purposely left it towards the end so that we could get a little foundation underneath us before kind of diving into like the nutrition and the health, which is really common, right? We want to know about those things too, and it's an important piece of intuitive eating, but it's not. We have to kind of learn about other things first before we get into this piece. So I'm excited to be at this principle today. We're going to do a check-in as we normally do. I'll do some education about the principle. We're also going to have a little poll to see what's next. So next week is the last official meeting. So I'd like to see what people are interested in doing after this. So we'll have just a brief, like 6 or 7 question poll to fill in, just to give us an idea on how to support or whatever next steps might be. So, any wins from last week? Anything that somebody practiced? Any food you hadn't tried in a while? Anything that anybody? All right. So I just kind of want to give us a little bit of a map where we are so we can see how far we've come. We only have one more principle after this one. Let's see. Here are some of the keys of the other principles that we've talked about over the last several weeks. So, rejecting the diet mentality or diet culture, that hope that, okay, if I just find the right food plan or way of eating or way of exercising, then I'm going to, fix myself or everything will be okay or whatever it is. And so that kind of holding on to the next fad or whatever it is that's going to fix us or save us may prevent us from really being in tune and being able to intuitively eat. Honoring our hunger. So every time you experience biological hunger and you respond by honoring that hunger with nourishment, you build trust and connection with your body. And I like to read that one because it's just such a good reminder that when I'm hungry, when I'm biologically hungry and I eat, the body likes that. The body like appreciates that. We're building trust and connection. And it's saying with nourishment. So we're not saying when we eat things that aren't nourishing, and it takes practice. But just that idea of identifying the hunger and responding to the hunger, our bodies really like that. Making peace with food. So again, the key to abolishing the pattern of restraint and then subsequent rebound overeating is to give yourself permission to eat. And I know this one can feel scary and a little tricky, especially if you've come from, certain backgrounds of like, this food's good, this food's bad. This is a learning one that's, progress, not perfection. Challenging the food police. So, really looking at those rules and beliefs and diets that we have around diet culture, and really trying to bring in that food anthropologist or even that intuitive eating voice or that nurturing voice when we start getting, bombarded with you should do this, you shouldn't do that. Feeling your fullness, again, just like the honoring our hunger, knowing when we're full. And I think when we make peace with food and have this permission to eat, being stopping when we're full is a lot easier. Because if I'm only eating 3 meals a day, and this might work for people, whatever works for you, but like if I'm only eating in a prescribed way, there are going to be days when I'm hungry at 2 o'clock, and I don't know why. Maybe it's, more activity or less lunch or whatever it is. So really, when we are able to eat, give ourselves permission to eat, then the fullness isn't like, oh no, I want to finish this thing because I'm not going to eat again until 6 or whatever it is. Discovering the satisfaction factor. We talked about that last week. When we eat what you really want, in an environment that is inviting, the pleasure you derive will be a powerful force in helping you feel satisfied and content. So it's about the food and it's not about the food, right? It's being in a place that's maybe peaceful or intentional when you're eating whatever the food is. Um, and then honoring your feelings with kindness. We spent 2 weeks on this one, really finding ways to connect, to comfort and nurture and resolve issues without using food, and I think the 12 steps are a great foundation, a great set of tools for us to look at those things underneath why we might be going to food. As someone was mentioning about anger and wanting sweetness and wanting sweets or sugar, like that's a great connection of like, oh, there's a feeling there, and then I want to reach for something sweet. So the idea of having these tools to like cope with our feelings can make the food really quiet down. It's not easy, and one day might be different than the next, but it's like, oh, there's so much like the duck underneath the surface, right? The feet are going and going and going, and we see nothing, on top. So if we're willing and have the support system like community, like Surrender School, we can look at some of those feelings and not, I'm always like, and I didn't die. I felt a feeling and I didn't die, Sometimes they feel so big and so all consuming that I just can't look. I don't want to feel it. So I do anything but. And really, if we can honor our feelings with kindness, the food can take its rightful place. And then respecting your body. So accepting your genetic blueprint. It's hard to reject the diet culture, diet mentality if you're unrealistic or overly critical about your body shape. Remember the Cinderella, trying to get your foot to fit in a shoe that is way too small. Okay, so principle 10, honor your health with gentle nutrition. I think I need to take a breath. I'm so excited. I need to just okay. Make food choices that honor your health and taste buds while making you feel good. Remember, you don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. And I don't know about you guys, but I have tried a lot of different ways of eating, whether it was no flour, no sugar, purple foods on Wednesday. Like I feel like I've tried so many different things. And even when I was in recovery for a really long time, I tried this one food program that was like specifically made for me. Like I did my blood test and it was all this thing and it went well for a while, but man, they had like a free day or a cheat day. And oh, I just remember going crazy because I had been, restricting for 6 days. And then on that seventh day, it was just like, so, um, yeah, just, I think we've all been there, done that, right? And we might want a different way to look at food and nutrition. You will not suddenly get a nutrient deficiency or become unhealthy from one snack, one meal, or one day of eating. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. Progress, not perfection, is what counts. So we all, I think, are familiar with that phrase, progress, not perfection. And if we can see it in the way with our food and our eating and our behaviors around food, it can be a really like gentle way to look at what we're eating. Um, and there is a reason that they wanted this principle kind of towards the end so that we could, like I mentioned before, build a foundation so we weren't turning intuitive eating into a diet. Um, and it's really looking at the perceived belief that eating a particular food will automatically make you unhealthy or unfit, and that food is either good or bad. And all foods are not equal, right? All foods have different nutritional value, but finding a place of emotional equalness can be helpful in the mind, right? So having this body food congruence. So body food choice congruence reflects this principle. And it's really that idea of looking at what the food does for you, right? So are we looking at the energy? Like if I eat a certain food, does it tank my energy or does it give me more energy? Does it make me hungry earlier or does it sustain me throughout several hours? So really looking instead of looking at, oh, I can't have this because it's bad, or she said I could have anything I want. I'm gonna eat popsicles all day. I don't know, I'm just picking food. But how do you feel when you eat popsicles all day? Like it might not, it might be fun for a little bit, but like, do you feel good when you eat popsicles all day? So it's that the opportunity to look at, are the foods I'm eating in alignment with how I want my body to feel? So again, that going internally, going inside and seeing, how does this and being realistic, like I've said, no food is off limits, but like if you're trying a food and it gives you headaches, or you're trying a food and it gives you digestive problems, then maybe that's not, the food for you, at least for now. So being willing to um, be honest with yourself about how certain foods affect your body. And then there are other factors that affect our health. So food, what we eat, how much we move our body, those are parts of our health, of course. But there's also things called social connection. I mean, there's also other things like social connection that can affect our health. So it's associated with a decreased risk in all-cause mortality, as well as a range of diseases. So social isolation can be more lethal than smoking 15 cigarettes per day, according to research by Julianne Holt Lundstedt of BYU. So sometimes, especially now, like after the pandemic, which seems like a long time ago in some ways, and but like our social interaction, like here we are all on Zoom, and I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to, connect with people from all over, but it's like it's different than being in person, right? And having that community. I do think it's has its value, but it's also like, I don't know, like getting out into your own communities as well. And just to see that it does impact our health when we stay isolated. And I think I don't know, with the eating stuff, it can feel like, I don't know if you're not in a good place with it or if you don't feel like, good, going out can be hard. So I don't know. I was very surprised at this, but I also can see, yeah, I think the social piece is really important. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. According to the CDC, at least five of the top leading causes of death are associated with ACEs. And if you're not familiar with that, there's a quiz you can take. I can add it to the link. But just that, our childhood experiences can affect our health as adults as well. So I can put that quiz on the page. And then social determinants of health. So economic and social conditions can also influence the health of people. So um, we might want to make it just about the food, but it could be a combination of other things as well. And then I mentioned this a few principles at times, orthorexia. So, if you don't know what that is, it's a new type of eating disorder characterized by an unhealthy or rigid obsession with eating healthfully. So, it's not a formal, it's not in the DSM, but it is something that um, can be a kind of a type of eating disorder. So here are the signs and symptoms: compulsively checking of ingredients and nutrition labels, an increase in concern about health of ingredients, cutting out food groups, so all sugar, all carbs, etc. An inability to eat anything but a narrow group of foods that are deemed healthy or pure, unusual interest in the health of what others are eating, spending hours per day thinking about what food might be served at upcoming events. I can relate to that. Showing high levels of distress when safe or healthy foods aren't available. Obsessive following of food and healthy lifestyle blogs on Twitter and Instagram. Body image concerns may or may not be present. So, just something to be aware of. It may not resonate with you, but this was definitely the land that I lived in and can still live in at times when I hear about a new thing, a new superfood, a new this. And again, none of this is necessarily bad. It's just having that balance of it, like the gentle nutrition, and it's also your motivation and like what's driving it. Like if I eat perfectly clean and healthy, then I'm going to be a good person, right? Then it's going to like just make me, it's going to, fill in the missing parts. And we all know that it's an inside job, right? It's not about necessarily what our bodies, how our bodies are looking and what we're eating, unless we're using, food to cope. But so just as an awareness. Um, and then really the idea is this authentic health. So the process of dynamic integration of your inner world and the external world of health guidelines, which includes exercise and nutrition. So some ways of achieving authentic health: eating healthfully feels good. Um, Eating a healthy balance of foods and having a healthy relationship with food. So again, not getting so um, laser focused on eating healthy, like in the orthorexia, but having also a healthy relationship with food. And the process of dynamic integration of your inner world and external world of health guidelines, which includes exercise and nutrition. So, so how do you keep pleasure in healthy eating? So asking yourself, do I really like the taste of these foods, or am I being a diet or health martyr? How does eating this food or type of meal make my body feel? Do I like this feeling? So again, that body food congruence. I recently got, I like these scones from Trader Joe's, and I hadn't had them in a long time, and I got some the other day, and I had it with my breakfast, and then I was like, God, this just feels so sweet. And I mean, I ate the whole thing and I ate it, but I was like, I don't know if I like this first thing in the morning. Like, it was just funny because I've had them and I've eaten them for, a long time, but I'm like, I'm not really sure this is like the best food to start off my day with. So again, just having that willingness to stop or be aware of. It doesn't mean, and asking yourself these questions, it doesn't mean like, okay, I can't have that ever again. I just have to know, like, if I have this, I might not have as much energy or as much pep as I want to have in my day. It kind of makes me feel, I don't know, a little fuzzy in the head. So I don't know. It's just having that willingness to question. But again, it doesn't mean, it just means just being aware. It doesn't mean you can't have that ever again. but just like, if I'm going to have this, I know this is how I'm going to feel. How do I feel when eating consistently in this manner? Do I like this feeling? Would I choose to feel this way again? So I think that's a really great question. So last night, my son and husband went to Baskin Robbins, and I'm like, hey, get me some ice cream, you know? And then I ate my dinner, and then I had it. And I looked over at my husband. He's like, "Oh, I'm full. I'm gonna stop eating." And I thought, I should have. Why didn't I stop eating my ice cream? Like I ate the whole thing, you know. I just thought, would I choose to feel this way again? You know, it's a really kind of gentle way of asking myself, you know, would I want to do this again? And maybe yes, maybe no, you know. And then, am I experiencing differences in my energy level? So these might be questions we can journal on. I have some other ones, but I can also get these put up if you want to journal on these in a little bit. But again, just I don't know, it's like unhooking that idea of this is my food and I don't want to let go of it, but really saying, gosh, do I feel different when I have a scone in the morning versus when I don't? And yes, I do. I don't feel as, I just feel kind of fuzzy after I have that, which wasn't always the case. I used to eat these and I didn't have any sort of difference, or I wasn't aware of the difference, or wasn't maybe willing to look at the difference. And then we have the Intuitive Eating Bill of Rights. Let me just see. You have the right to, I can't see that, something cajoling or judgment and without discussion of calories eaten. You have the right to enjoy second servings without apology. You have the right to honor your fullness, even if that means saying no thank you without explanation to dessert or a second helping of food. You have the right to stick to your original answer of no, even if you are asked multiple times. Just calmly and politely repeat no thank you, really. It is not your responsibility to make someone happy by overeating, even if it took hours to prepare a specialty dish. And you have the right to eat pumpkin pie for breakfast or cereal for dinner, regardless of judgment, comments, or rolled eyes. And I think this was something I was using around the holidays. Here's something weird I'm going to send out to you guys. And then Amber, if you could put it in the chat. This is just a way of tracking the intuitive eating principles. If you want to kind of look at where you're at with each principle, one is struggling and 10 is highest attunement. So we're going to do the exercise one next week. But every other one we've gone through. So now we're going to take some time for reflection. Here are some questions to look at, and then I can also put the other ones that I just put up on the healthy eating. How do I define gentle nutrition in a way that feels balanced and kind to my body? What foods help me feel energized, satisfied, and at peace afterward? Am I choosing this food out of self-care or out of guilt or pressure? How can I make nourishing choices without falling into perfectionism? What small shift could I make today to honor my health while still enjoying eating? All right, so how to apply this principle, you know, consider your motivation or beliefs when you're eating or avoiding a food. Remember, consistency is key. So not one meal or one snack or even one day is going to ruin your health. Using that intuitive eating tracking worksheet that we put in the chat, and I'll also add to the WhatsApp group. And then also considering strengthening another principle if this one is too challenging right now, going back to rejecting diet culture or honoring your hunger, or another principle that you're like, yeah, this one, I need it to be a little more solid before I dive into more of like gentle nutrition. And then being kind to yourself as you practice this new skill. And it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, it's what we do consistently. So that's from Tony Robbins. And just remembering not to turn intuitive eating into a diet, meaning there's no like, I'm falling off of intuitive eating or I'm not doing it good enough. Really, intuitive eating is about our food and being intuitive, but it's also that idea of getting back to trusting ourselves about the choices we're making. And the best way to do that, I think, is honoring that hunger, honoring those nudges of hunger, and the body will start to realize, oh, hey, they're feeding me. This is great. I get hungry and my need is met. But not turning it into a diet of good and bad and right and wrong. And then here are a few mantras to consider as we look at this principle. Progress, not perfection, nourishes me. I listen to what my body needs, not what the rules demand. Food is my ally in well-being, not my enemy. I choose foods that feel good now and later, which was shared about looking at that long term, how do I want my body to feel? And I nourish myself with kindness as much as with my food. So again, the food, the exercise, those are pieces of our health, but it's also that social connection, and really taking care of ourselves inside and out. Watching the way we speak to ourselves, the way when we mess up, how do we react to ourselves? I mean, if we're beating ourselves down, it's not going to make me, want to go eat an apple, right? So come to the session tomorrow at 9 with Amber. It's all about how we treat ourselves and how to build ourselves up. Um, and next week, we're going to talk about movement, feel the difference, and a wrap up and kind of talking about next steps about where this group will head going forward. And that is all I have. Thank you all so much for coming and participating. I really loved hearing all of the shares. And, I think that's a lot of how we heal and get connection, but also just being witnessed in whatever it is we're having challenges with. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. So
Thanks for recovering with us.